The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
But the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the chicken body flavor. A poem could be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the chicken body flavor. The poem could be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the chicken body flavor. A poem could be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the chicken body flavor. Bobby sang the silent ear. Bobby sang at my silence. Bobby sang the black onyx of the tie-dye moccasins of Yoruba. Bobby sang the black jewel son of Cosby Borney. Bobby sang the mint julep of the red cleft.
Bobby sang by Ron Allen. Welcome to the Qumran Report. May the peace and blessings of the life-giving creative spirit be upon you and upon your family. My name is Melvin Ishmael Johnson, coming at you live from Morris Media Studios. Our call-in number is 1-323-293-3375. Now, this week on the Qumran Report, we will have a conversation with Darcel from the hit classic TV show Solid Gold, talking about her new book, Darcel Solid Gold, and special in-studio guest, actor Jonaton Wyne. I'm delighted to have with us in the studio Darcel, the lead dancer from the classic TV hit Solid Gold. She danced her way into our homes with the fitness, vitality, and sensuality of a confident woman. Darcel, welcome to the Qumran Report.
Thank you so much, Melvin. Oh, I feel so honored.
Now, before we start off our discussion, I would like to play a clip of an interview I did with you Monday, September the 9th, 2013 on the Qumran Report at Skid Row Studios, and I ask you the following. Your book, Darcel Solid Gold. What's that about?
It's my autobiography, and I wanted to leave something for my children and my grandchildren and whoever. All my children. I think I have more spiritual children than do. But it's kind of nice to leave something behind, and I'm glad I did it for my children. They had a better understanding about mommy and daddy. Some questions that you can't ask.
Okay. So the book is out. Can you tell our listening audience about all of the basic information on the book? The name of the book, how to get it?
The name of the book is Darcel Sexy's Back, and She's Still Solid Gold. Mm-hmm. And I made it very simple for everyone to just go to Amazon.com. Mm-hmm. And the link, of course, is on Facebook. And everyone, I applaud you. Everyone's been buying a book, and I also have what I call my Wall of Fame. And if you take a picture with the book and send it to me, I will put you on my Wall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And it's been working out very nicely. We're having a great time.
Mm-hmm. Can you hold up a copy of the book?
Sure. Everybody likes the back. Dun, dun, dun.
Now, what was the process in putting the book together?
Wow, Melvin, it was so funny. When I thought to do it, the first thing I said, well, what am I going to talk about? And most of the time when people talk about their autobiography, you want to talk about things that you've done and then your family and your friends. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to just do that. And I said, well, what I talk about? And I just got a tape recorder and I just started talking in it. And it just came up from my heart because the book started, actually it wasn't a book, it was a movie for Lifetime. And the director, one of the producers, something drastic happened to him and they never picked it up again. So I said, well, you know what, maybe I'll just do a book. And so I put it all together and put it out there. And at first it was so sensitive, Melvin, because, you know, with autobiographies, you have to say some things and, you know, you just say it. I'd rather say it than pass away and have somebody else try to say it, you know. So I said, I'm going to tell my own story for somebody else tries to tell it.
And I think I saw, did you have a co-writer or something like I saw doctors?
Well, yeah, Dr. Claiborne. Well, what happened, a friend of mine said, you know, why don't you get a ghostwriter? And, of course, I didn't know anything. And she says, I have one for you. And she's so precious. She was married 5 times to pastors, believe it or not. And she had a real abusive, you know, little life. So anyway, we really hit it off really well. And we just spent time together. And I would go to her house. She would come to mine. And, you know, we just had those really sensitive moments. And some of the ones that were hard to talk about, you know, it was like, okay, we got it out. But when we interviewed my friends and family, that was what was interesting, to hear how other people view you and how they see you. And then I talk at the end of the book.
Well, I think we got a phone call. Who do we have on the phone? Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Oh, that's Glenn.
Yeah. Who was speaking with Glenn?
How are you doing? How's everybody?
Fine. I gotta turn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Glenn. Do you have how you doing? You have a question or a comment?
This is Glenn Leonard, my second husband. Yes.
Go ahead, Glenn.
No, I just wanted to call in and support Darcel. She's a great lady, a wonderful person, great mother. She's a great wife. I think she was a better wife than I was a husband. But so you know, and we're great friends now. I still have great love in my heart for her, and I just wanted to call and be an encouragement and support for her efforts.
And Glenn, you know, just not Glenn. You know, tell us, expand a little bit more on that Glenn. You know, you more than Glenn. Can you talk a little about that? Tell us just a little bit more identifying yourself.
You want me to identify myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't be ex-husband.
You more than Glenn.
Well, yeah, you know, my name is Glenn Leonard. I'm Darcel's second husband. We were married for 27 years, and we have 3 children. How many grandkids? 4 or 5 grandkids. I can't keep count. And I'm a former member of the Temptations. I was with the Temptations from 75 up to 83, 84. And that's it. That's
when he has 2 groups now. And his birthday was the 11th. Mine was yesterday. So he won't tell you all that. But he's working in his group. And you're getting ready to do your play.
Well, yeah, I'm getting ready to do a musical entitled Forever Motown. Alongside of another great star, G.C. Qumran. G.C. Qumran is one of the unique guys in this business. He was the lead singer of 2 major groups, the Spinners and the Temptations.
Wow.
Yeah, so he and I are going to be doing a musical, Forever Motown, which was Long Island on the 6th of July, as a matter of fact.
Would it be performed out here?
Well, right. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be in Long Island, then Savannah, Georgia, and then I think in somewhere in New Jersey. Yeah.
Okay, Darcel, would you like to say anything to Glenn?
No, but thank you so much for calling in and support. You've always been a support.
Yeah, well, you know I've got your back. You know.
Yes.
We're
you guys got to read this book and see see where he fits in my life. Thank you, Glenn, so much. I appreciate you calling.
No problem. No problem. I got your back.
Okay.
Thank you, Glenn.
All right, man.
Okay, let's get into, can you tell our listening audience about your background and how did you get off into dancing and performing? Talk about that a little.
I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I started dancing when I was 3 years old. You know, as little, people want to give you money to dance, and my uncles and friends used to give me little quarters and go out and dance. And when I did my recitals, you know, my mom used to say you would dance, and then when it was over, everybody's gone, and you still out there dancing. So I guess that's really all I know, Melvin, is dance. I haven't stopped. And then when I went through school, my teacher, Ms. Leeds, that was junior high, Jonaton and I were going to do a show called, what was the name? I can't even think of it. But we were...
In junior high?
Yeah.
You knew Jonathan?
I met Jonathan when I was 13.
We got to...
I know. I tell you. Yeah.
Okay.
Keen at Noon. That's what it was, Keen at Noon. And I needed a dance partner. And Mrs. Lee's, my dance teacher, said, well, we have to get you a partner. And so I was like, you know, I'm 13. Okay. So I guess then she called, and we got Jonathan.
Mm-hmm. And you guys was in the same school?
There's some age difference.
Okay.
Oh, no. He was college. You were going to college. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, you get that part in the book.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely got to talk about, talk about that. Now, during that time in school, was dance an art form? Was it a section that dealt with dance, like creative theater?
Well, we did. Mrs. Leeds had a troupe called the Rockettes, and we were a bunch of girls and one little guy, Gary, who loved me so much, and he thought the only way he could be close to me was to join, and became such a dear friend, and I talk a lot about him in the book. But he came on board, and he was our only male dancer. And we toured different schools. We went down on the ships and performed for the servicemen. And we just became a really popular group. But it wasn't like training or anything. We just all kind of did our thing. And I was lead dancer, and Gary and I just kind of...
Well, let me ask you this. There's kind of a stereotypes about male dances where people... When you see male dance, I know back in my day, I think it's changed now. They used to automatically assume that the male dancers was gay or something like that. Can you comment on that thing?
Well, you know, I don't know. I had some wonderful gay friends, you know, and but there's straight guys too, and you don't get to hear about them that much because the focus is always on the gay guys, and they were just amazing. I mean, you can't, their dance, everything about them was amazing. But, you know, anytime a guy is colorful and loves something different, you know, he's named whatever. But I don't know. I enjoyed.
Because what made me realize there was so many male dancers out there that broke the stereotype. It's I used to watch a lot of Michael Jackson's videos, and he will always have 20 or 30 dancers, and I mean these dancers was great.
Oh yeah, well you know when locking and popping and breakdancing, I mean guys were coming from everywhere, you know, and that's why on our show we didn't start out with popping and locking until we brought Coolie Bop on. But, that was very foreign to all of us, you know, because we were also classical and jazz, you know, which Jonathan could probably talk more about that.
Okay. Now, how did you get involved with Solid Gold? Let's talk about that.
Solid Gold, actually, I was at a time where I wanted to do choreography, and I didn't want to dance anymore. And I was doing some choreography, and Kevin Carlisle had called and said, Solid Gold, you know, looking for some dancers, would you come? And I did, and at that time, you know, I was the only black girl on the show, and we started, putting all the countdowns together. And we had no idea that the dancers were going to be popular. Brad Lockman, who's our producer, he would come down and say, "Hey, you guys got all this mail?" And, our whole thing was supposed to be the guest on the show. And so anyway, individually, we were getting mail and people were loving us. And I was always known at that time as the black girl with the long hair until finally I became Darcel.
Was it a similar relationship to like the dances that we used to see on Soul Train when we was coming up? What was the difference in that?
Well, I think we were more like, I would say, Mickey Mouse Club. Because because people knew our names. We were, we were formed as a group. Where Soul Train, they had their hand-picked dancers. They weren't. You could get on Soul Train and dance, but they did have their different groups and one or two popular ones. But it was just a different vibe than what we were about. They had their thing and we had ours.
I want to play another clip about the competition behind the scenes and Solid Gold. Let's play another clip. How about the competition behind the scenes? It's very competitive in the world of dance.
It is, but I didn't know it because I was just good at what I did, and I enjoyed it, and I had passion for it. But dance is like any other job. You get in line, you stay, you go, you stay, you go. Rejection is a bad thing, and these girls get rejected, and it's like, it's not that you're not good, you're just not good for this particular part. But, man, you take it so, and for me, I was always a working dancer because, back in the day, they only used one light girl, one dark girl. And it was always me and Candy. It was like, yeah, I'm here, So it was just like that. Nowadays it's a little different. But the dancers today, man, I don't know. I wouldn't make it today.
Now, did they actually tell you that? Or
who?
In terms about...
No, you didn't have to tell me. They all knew it. We all knew it. That's why when they saw us, it was either one dark or one light. That's how it was going down. Oh, no, that wasn't a secret.
Okay.
I should take that picture down. It's like, oh boy.
So you want to comment on
all that again?
What's happening behind?
Well, I probably would still say the same thing because it is competition. Girls. Nowadays there's beautiful women everywhere. You can get a booty if you want. You can get stuff we couldn't get back there. We had to hope we had it. And I guess that's what made us so popular because we were beautiful women on Solid Gold, and they would tune in and watch. But that competition for women, you have to look a certain way, you have to do this, and the New York dancers came in. Of course, they're better dancers than we were, but for me, TV and movies, they like a certain look, and I happen to have the look. I've always been a working dancer. I've never had to go on too many auditions because people just knew me, so I didn't have that stress of you go, you stay, but my heart, would really go out to some of these dancers.
Okay, so let me ask you this: was it hard for black dancers to break in there? Because I've always assumed that hey, black people could dance better than anybody else on the globe.
Black people do everything better. I mean, it's always hard for us to get in stuff. That's why we got to be so good, And it was hard back then. And then the only good thing for us, we had a lot of different variety shows, from Red Fox to Flip Wills. We could go on anybody's show. But Solid Gold was a landmark for me and just, landed me down. But I did Vegas, I did movies. I mean, we had more working jobs. Now, when the breakers and the lockers all came in, that was a whole different flow for us. I mean, they danced us in the ground, because that just wasn't what we did. But, yeah, the competition was really steep. Once, but Solid Gold made a mark. I look at Solid Gold like Dancing with the Stars, so we were just set aside from what I've been told, and I think we made a mark. And people today, this is what's so amazing. I can still go out and they'll say Darcel, and I'm like, yeah, where do I know you from? School? So I don't. It doesn't dawn on me that these people still know me from Solid Gold.
So Dancing with the Stars is like an extension of.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it
Gold.
is. I think it is. And you don't see too many black dancers. Well, you didn't see any. And then, I think now, I don't watch it. I don't even have TV. But I guess maybe you may see one or two. When I was doing Forever Young at Steve Harvey's, we were doing the same. We were on the same set. I may have seen a black girl. I don't even know if she was in the troupe. I think, well, you look at the show and you tell me. I've been trying to get on.
Okay. Look, I think we got another caller online. Who we're speaking with?
Hello?
Hello, yes. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, my name is Billy.
Billy?
Billy, yes.
Hey, Billy, do you have a comment? You want a comment or question for Darcel or Jonaton?
I have a question for Darcel. Of all of the people that came on Solid Gold, which was her favorite person to actually dance with? Hey, Darcel.
Hi. Do I know you from Facebook?
No, Houston, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Facebook, Houston, Texas.
Okay, you got to speak up a little bit because I can't hear you too.
Okay. Yep, Billy Richardson.
Oh, Billy! See? Oh, Billy! See, I didn't know you were Billy. There you go, Billy. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Oh, well, Billy, yeah. Okay, now, tell me again what you...
Val says hello to...
Oh, hi, Valerie. Hey, thank you guys for my birthday wishes. This is my beautiful family from Houston. Very dear friends. So what was your question?
The question I had, and I don't know why we never asked you, out of all the people that you danced with, who was the person that you enjoyed dancing with the most?
On the show?
Yeah, on Solid Gold.
I don't know. Well, Tony, of course. Me and Tony were very, very tight. And I found out Tony passed in 95 from my son because he keeps me posted on everything. But Tony and I used to hang. We used to go to movies and then on our break, go eat. Tony and I would hang. But the dancer that I guess I have to say I loved Pam. Pam was, Pam had those nice big thighs, and I kept thinking, wow, Pam's got some strong thighs. How come my thighs don't look like Pam? Yeah, but yeah, I love Pam. Me and Pam hung out, and Kahea too. Little Kahea was cool. I was always like the guru of the group, so we all had some beautiful talks.
So you have a comment, Billy?
Well, Darcel, I'm like everybody else, grew up watching the show, so big fan.
All right, Billy. Thank you very much for calling. Mm-hmm. So, who are some of the dancers that influenced you?
Well, at the time when I was coming up, there weren't any that I could say I looked at and said, oh, I want to be like her or anything like that. But I was just asking Jonaton about Jamerson. I think Alvin Ailey. I really respect her because I watched how she carried that group. And one time I went to see the Alvin Ailey Company, and she had become a mature woman, and she wasn't doing all her kicks and things. And all of a sudden, she made a cameo and just walked across the stage. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. And she was just so beautiful, So I think her stature and her as a woman, I like. But there's no one that I could say, I was too busy working.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know when we was coming up, we always thought that James Brown was the greatest dancer.
Oh, well, now you're going that way. James Brown is the man. What you talking about? Oh, you want to go there.
Yeah, Jackie Wilson.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're talking about.
Yeah, these
you're
guys.
talking about that.
Can you remember any female dancers back then?
Well, I guess Lola Falana was back then, and who else? Oh, Tina.
Yeah, Tina
Turner.
Yeah.
Now, Debbie Allen, I would say, she had a TV show, but I don't know her to know how much of a dancer. I know she's just an amazing producer, director. That's when I really started to know her. I was like, wow, because she set the bar. I mean, here she was with the TV and a dancer, and next one I know, she's a producer, director, and she's just gone. So, yeah, I really respect her as what she's done, as an icon. But, yeah. I got to give her that.
Now, I want to go back before I get into the dance and the exercise. I want to go back to the when she was 13. I want to go back to that because that's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's quite a story.
Yeah,
it's quite a story. I was called one day. I was in college, a theater arts major, minored in dance. I was taking jazz dance classes, but this dancer at UCLA named Al Wong, he was a teacher in the dance company there, and he had his own dance company, he and his wife, and he had called and said a lady named Mrs. Leeds from John Muir Junior High School called him and said, we need a male, my lead dancer needs a male partner. Would you be interested? I said, sure. So that was the first time that I had met Darcel. Went down to John Muir Junior High School one day and never forgotten. Walked on the schoolyard and there was this young lady and she was, as far as I can remember, she was standing on this bench. And I walked over to her and I said, are you Darcel? She said, yes. And then you're Jonaton? I said, yes. I said, well, come down to the women's gym. That's where Mrs. Leeds was. And we went down there and met. And Darcel and I became dance partners. We did the Bill Keane.
Keane at Noon.
Keane at Noon at CBS. Okay. And from there we started doing other acts, other clubs. Ms. Leeds had booked us in other clubs, and then it just before I knew it, I got drafted. Okay, so when I came back from the service, the first film I did was, and it wasn't the first film for me because before I had left, I had done like maybe 3 films. I was in a film called Finian's Rainbow at Warner Brothers, where I was a dancer in the film for 4 months, which was awesome. And but I also had acted in 2 films, one at Universal, The Ballad of Josie, and one over at MGM, Where Were You When the Lights Went Out. But when I came back from the service, Darcel had called and said they need a dancer on the set. She said, well, I'm doing a film over at 20th Century, The Great White Hope, with James Earl Jones and Jane Alexander. And Martin Ritt was the director from the old group theater days, for those people that we might remember that. And so I went and met the choreographer, Donald McHale, who was a big choreographer at that time, mainly in New York, though. But anyway, I got onto the film, and that was when Darcel and I started working together, and she had just graduated from Hollywood High School, and we started, and we married too. So
okay, well, look, let's we who do we have online?
Glenn Jr.
Who?
Oh, Glenn Jr., my son.
Hey, Glenn Jr.
Oh boy,
how you doing, Glenn
Getting
Jr.?
these guys on here.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh, just
Good,
fine.
Glenn, good.
Glenn,
Is that touchdown Johnny Wyne? I see.
That is touchdown Johnny Wyne. How are you, Glenn?
What's up, Jay?
Oh, everything is good, buddy.
You guys gotta ask Jonathan about his football career.
okay.
Yeah.
So, do you have? Let's hear a comment. What's your comment on Darcel, Jonathan?
I was just calling in to, show Mom support. She's a true legend and an icon in this industry, but a lot of people don't know the personal side of her is somewhat the same but very different. My mom is very domestic, a great cook. A lot of people don't know Darcel can turn the curtains. Mm-hmm. If you give her the tools to make it work, she can really cook. She's always been a great mom, but she when she had her career, when she was at the apex of her career, a lot of people don't know she was still a full-time mom as well. So she took us to school, cooked, cleaned, did all the regular stuff, and had a 12-hour day career working at Solid Gold and KTLA and all the other stuff. So
now, how did her dancing influence you as an artist? Did you get off into the arts?
Yeah, ironically, me and some of the other Temptation Sons are in the works of putting a group together and working on getting a tour together. I personally, my parents never really encouraged growing up. I was never really, they didn't really pressure me into doing anything music-wise or anything like that. Honestly, my parents were the same at home as they were on TV. It wasn't really a big deal. I didn't really know my mother was famous until one day she came to my school, and she happened to come in a limousine. I think they were filming a TV show, I think, later on that evening or something. So anyway, she comes in this limousine, and she stepped out of the car, and the whole school emptied. And that was the first time. This was maybe around the 5th or 6th grade. It's the first time I realized something was different, because up until then, I really didn't know my parents were famous or did anything different, because they didn't really carry themselves any different. So,
Melvin, I used to carry Glenn in a basket in rehearsal. I used to put him in the corner and throw him over there in the basket with a cover over it. And then sometimes the wardrobe lady would come and get him and say, I'll take Glenn for you, because I had to keep my kids with me, Yeah. And Glenn grew up with me on Solid Gold, and he grew up on stage, with his dad. But he's leaving next month. David Ruffin, Melvin Franklin.
David Ruffin Jr., Melvin Franklin Jr., Paul Williams Jr., and Dennis Edwards Jr. We're all in the works of putting a show together. So we're all getting together next month and putting some final details on some things. But that'll be coming out later on. But I just wanted to call in and show Mom some love and let her know her family was watching and looking out for her.
Yeah,
once they hated Jonaton.
But
Thank you, Glenn.
What's so interesting about Glenn and the guys? It's like I've watched, Big Glenn do his thing, and I, would go with them when they would perform. And Glenn was 5, and he would get on stage and he would do his thing with his dad. Now, here my son, he and his dad were singing on stage. Big Glenn called the guys up one night at his concert, which was absolutely awesome to see all these guys' sons that we know, Yeah. And here I'm seeing my son sing with his dad. And then I'm like, okay, then here's my son's son. Yeah. And he's going to rehearsal. He's coming home talking about doom, doom, doom. He's like, look, Mimi, look. I'm like, this is crazy.
And that's amazing, because he mentioned David Ruffin Jr. And, I guess David Ruffin, the grandfather, and, Jimmy Ruffin and David Ruffin, all of them come from the Mississippi Delta, out of that great music tradition. Wow. And that's amazing to see like a next generation that follow.
But it's like,
I had no idea it was a David Ruffin. Then he even had a son, but that's amazing.
Yeah, but look what was amazing after Dennis passed, because there was the 4 of them, and they needed the one. And here, when Dennis passed, his son stepped up to the plate, and it's like, it just gives me chills talking about it, because it's like to see these guys in action. It's going to be magical. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much for calling in.
Yes, sir. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. See you later, Mommy.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Take care, Glenn.
He calls me Mommy.
Love to the children.
Yeah. 41 years old, and I still call her mommy. That's my mommy. Don't play with me.
All right. That's wonderful. Amazing.
Yeah.
Look, let's talk a little about how important is dancing to fitness.
Oh, gosh. It's very important. It's an everyday thing. And you know, Melvin, I thought I was at the place now where I could have a little moment, and cheat and maybe not have to do so much. But, when you're in the public's eye, you just can't be normal and you just can't have a little moment. It's always, being perfect as you can. As a matter of fact, one of my fans just asked me this yesterday. He said, I've known you over 30 years. And you still look the same. And he said, can I ask you, have you had your face done? And I said, if I had my face done, I wouldn't be looking like this. So I'm like, no, but hopefully one day, yes, I'd love to. But I mean, it's, you always have that kind of competition, and then once you're known as a sex object, and then you're no longer that, and, people try to make you think you are, So it is hard, but I think the importance, of course, eating well and working out. And that's why with Jonaton, I always respected him so much because he's in that gym like a job, and he looks incredible. So, and he taught me, take care of yourself, eat well. I mean, when I came here from Houston, I was so depressed, and I was like 168 or something pounds, and Jonaton was like, oh no, he was like, because he knows me. And for my birthday, he took me to the gym. He signed me up. He gave me a membership. But that's Jonaton,
Yeah.
But, it changed my life. It brought me back again, and then I started teaching again. And so, yeah, but you go through your little moments. Who doesn't? Sometimes you just want that hamburger. You just want that brownie, But, it is what it is. But,
okay.
Yeah.
So, who do we have online?
You have Miss Earlene on the line.
Hey, Earlene, how you doing? I finally got you to call in.
You guys are having a great time, huh?
Yeah.
Good morning, Earlene.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm just calling to say early happy birthday to Darcel.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. And what upcoming projects are you working on?
Oh, boy. Well, I'm working on a show called Just Because, and she's a mature woman who has a family of 3 children, and my husband passed. And then I'm working on a show called Darcel on the Move, which I go out in streets and talk to people and mess with them. And then we go to different locations with my, every woman needs 2 important people with her, and that's her hairdresser, her makeup artist, with her fitness instructor. So we're all going to go on the road.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, I finally got through. I've been calling since around 11 o'clock trying to get through, so you guys must be having a great time.
Yes, thank you, Earlene.
Okay, well, be safe, and I'll talk to all of you later.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bye, Earlene.
Okay,
we
bye-bye.
got Bobby and Lee Beck in the studio also.
Oh, I'm jealous.
All right, then.
Okay, bye-bye.
So let's play another audio clip, and then we'll come back and discuss it again. I can stick that picture from Skid Row Studio. That's a famous picture.
Which one?
About
What are your thoughts on the state of dancing now as an art form?
Well, my view of dance has opened up so much, and especially when I started dancing in the church, and because God just opened up dance to me, and I was so limited to what I thought dance was. I didn't know that it was part of healing. I didn't know that you can dance and put your foot on somebody and call that sickness out. I didn't know about any of that, and when it became something so precious to me, I just didn't know how to do it, or was it okay? And even now, I don't dance that much in the church because now wherever I am is the church. And now when I dance, I could just break out and start dancing at any given time. I teach praise and worship in my classes. I just put the music on and we just have church, just dances. So there is a freedom that comes when you just free to be who you are. You don't have to have a step. Just cut loose, and that to me is dance. Your own expression, because you got a good expression. God said everything he made was good, and not just good, very good. So whatever you got, give it, do it. It's good. So I had to learn that.
Okay. Yeah. Look, let's move over to Jonaton. We'll come back for some closing, some more comments, and because Jonaton is our other special in studio guest, I'm finding out a lot more about him now. Okay, I think before we move over to Jonaton, who else we have on the phone?
Hello, Mommy, it's Melissa.
My family. Where you guys on the phone?
I'm calling to support
See that support, boy, I tell you, my family breaks through. They don't care.
Melissa, huh?
Melissa.
Melissa.
That's my oldest daughter.
How about do you have a question or comment about moms?
I just want to say she's the best mother ever. My sister and I have mimicked her parenting styles for our children, and I just wanted to salute her today and let her know I'll be supporting her now and forever.
Oh, thank you so much.
Love you, Mommy.
Love you, too. Somebody's as Big Glenn, because my kids, have put so many nice things on Facebook about our birthdays, and they always outdo each other, and so Glenn, Big Glenn somebody said, "Man, what did you put in your kids' drinks?" Your kids say such nice things about you guys. Kids don't talk about their parents like that today,
Yeah,
but and that's why I wrote the book.
Ever.
Yeah.
We have the best parents ever, and I just wanted to support Mommy. My sister and brother and Daddy knows that we love her immensely, and we support her in everything that she does. And you all can carry on with the interview. Hi, Jonaton.
Hi, Melissa.
Okay. So you discussed them in the book, too, right?
Oh, yeah. They all speak in the book. And, and it was so hard for my children because, as you see, they love their father and us. And the separation, really took a toll on them. But we're all best of friends, and we're still a family. They've even adopted Jonaton. We're just all one big family. And that's what was kind of hard. And for the kids to talk, I let them.
Can you hold up the book again and give us some basic information for those out there who would want to get a copy of the book?
Yes, Amazon.com. Just that simple. If you go to Facebook, you can also get the link. And again, I wrote the book as a self-help book because I went through so much as a woman, a mother, a wife, entertainer, and I just wanted to share some things, and some of it's very, very personal to me, and that's why it took a minute for me to put the book out, because when you start talking about personal things, it gets hard. But you know what? We all go through personal stuff, and some of us don't talk about it. And then I was like, but God, I don't want to put all this out. I said, how do I know it's okay? He said, when you don't hurt anymore and when you don't cry anymore. So I said, well, it's time to write the book.
Since you guys are so close to the bookstore in the Murray Park, one, right? Yes. You should go by there and talk to about
book signing.
There because you're just a couple blocks from it.
Yes.
We walked by there this morning. It's an excellent place to do a book.
Yes. And on the weekends, you guys have a lot of things. A couple of brothers invited me to come over to Leimert Park with some of the vendors, and so yes, I am. Yeah, we'll be doing that.
Okay, let's move over to Jonaton. I've seen you in 3 major original productions: Salvador Morning, Catch the Tiger, and The Hero Within. As a matter of fact, when we was walking through Leimert Park on our way over here, one of the gentlemen that runs an organization that came to one of the performers when we did it at Santa Monica. He really got emotion because he was a Vietnam veteran, and I hadn't seen him since. And he's still talking about, he was talking about that to me and Lee, about that performance, about your performance, doing that. But can you talk, what is your approach in creating a character as a professional actor?
Well, it's like a painter for me. There's a canvas. The canvas is bare. A painter, his vision is so pure and clear when he looks at something that he wants to put on that canvas. You don't have to have a model there to copy. You have your imagination. So for me, my imagination is everything. And I was telling Darcel this recently. When I prepare, that's part of my artistry. That's part of my creation. And I'll prepare for little things. A reading, I'll prepare. I'll do my homework because that's important to me. To create, to make something come to life. Like the artist starts painting on that canvas, and the design, the color, brings it pops it out to something that's really real, something that you could relate to. Same thing for the actor. For me, every actor is different, of course, but I want to bring something to life, to make it real, to make it meaningful. And I don't care how small or big the part is, I want to bring something to it to pop it out.
Mm-hmm. What is what's your process for learning lines?
Well, learning lines, I hear Darcel laughing.
I know, he's a master at this.
It's when you read the material, you don't just read it once. You don't just read it twice. You don't just read it 3 times. You read it and you read it and you read it. And as you read the material, you get an understanding of what that screenwriter or playwright is wanting to capture, is wanting to say. Now, for the actor, when you start rehearsing on your lines, the more you read that whole play or screenplay, the more your character is going to start coming to life. And then when you start reading your lines over and over and over again, there's something that the mind and the word, it connects. It just connects. And concentration is so important, of course. And you just concentrate. And the more you concentrate, the more you can see that character. And the more the lines are meaningful to you. And it brings that character to life. And the lines are just there. And I have a thing about, I don't call it cramming. People cram lines. Mm-hmm. I want to learn it where I'm learning the character. Where I'm coloring the character. So it's easy when I put it into that framework, it's more easier to remember the lines and a lot more fun.
Do blocking help out during the rehearsal process?
Blocking sometimes can get in the way if you start blocking too early for me. Mm-hmm. I'm one that when we sit down to read the screenplay or the play, I want to sit at the table with the director and the performers and the writers there, and let's read it once and read it again, because too much I see the actor wants to get on stage and start performing, and you can get in bad habits because you start acting. Mm-hmm. You have to be very careful of that. You don't want to act. You want to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, good point. What are your thoughts on working with Darcel? We talk about
Sure. Well, you know, Darcel and I worked for many years. Many years. We had a nightclub act. We did it in Vegas. Way back, we did this show called Turn It On, and we had an act in it. And Liberace came and invited us to his show at the Hilton Hotel. Put us down there in the first hour in the booth, bought us a bottle of champagne. Liberace. And he let us, he wanted us to come backstage so we could meet him. And the reason why he invited us is that we did 2 shows a night, of course, at the Hacienda at that time. And then we did a 3rd show for all the gypsies on the strip. And Liberace came, okay? And he invited Darcel and I, and we used to see him on Robertson Boulevard here, and he was always say, "Hi, Darcel. Hi, Jonathan." You know, and he liked to be called Lee. But we did the Pearl Bailey television show on ABC too, and he was a guest. And Miss Bailey was very nice to us, and but Darcel and I, you know, then the last so many years. We even taught dance together. We taught dance together, and we had so many of the dancers that enjoyed our classes because we have different styles, you know. And I would start off the class, and then Darcel would come on and do her thing, of course. But we fall in that line very easily together. We, you know, we've always been that close like that.
We did Superstar together.
We did Jesus Christ Superstar, the movie. He played
one of the disciples.
I played Matthew the disciple, and she played other.
In the
original movie Superstar, Norman Jewison, Carl Anderson played Judas. Ted Dealey played Jesus Christ, and the named director was Norman Jewison. And I used to stand behind that camera every day and watch Norman Jewison rehearse Carl and shoot Carl and Teddy. And I couldn't wait to get back to the States.
Yeah, he was such a great singer.
Oh, amazing. Powerful performer and singer. Right. Yeah, wonderful. Good friend. Dear friend.
I gotta pull my copy out of Jesus Christ Superstar. Look at that now.
Oh man.
Jonathan was Matthew?
I was Matthew. And 4 months, Melvin, on that film.
In Israel.
Israel, all over Israel.
Amazing.
Quite an experience.
And we did Broadway with Miss Bailey.
And then I did we both did Hello Dolly the first time after Miss we did Bailey. Her television show, Miss Bailey.
Oh, and her daughter came on Facebook. And she said, no one's alive. Even her children have passed.
Oh, even her son?
And the son, the daughter, and she's like the only one.
That's Tony Belson's children, too. The jazz drummer.
So I told her to keep in touch. I'm like, wow.
Well, Miss Bailey was very good to me. She, the second time I did her tour, we did the show on Broadway at the Minskoff Theater. She called, I was in the show for maybe 1 week, started in San Diego, and she called me into her dressing room. I was one of the dancers, and she said, "Jonathan, I know you're an actor. Would you like to do the part of the head waiter?" I said, "Yes." And so from then on, I was the head waiter from all the way we did it at the Schubert here in Los Angeles, and then we started going back east and ended up in New York in the John Kennedy Center in New York. But Miss Bailey gave me that role, and I...
Shoot, Jonathan, we waiting on your book now.
Well, I told him. Well, he has a show on Facebook.
That's information.
Yeah, he has his Facebook page.
That's amazing, but because I'm a incredible actor, I'm gonna have to tell you, great actor, man.
Let me just say this too: Melvin Ishmael Johnson is a wonderful, marvelous playwright, and I'm saying this because I have done a couple of his pieces and been so honored. And we just did a reading of something that was dear to his heart about the Mississippi Delta, the school. Desegregation down there, and he wrote this beautiful play about this real story, and I played one of the professors,
Professor Norman Howard McGee.
So I was honored.
Lots of stories.
Okay, then we are kind of winding down. Let me get I just want to mention that we got the second annual Nasana 10-Minute Play Festival coming up July the 27th, 28th, 29th, 2018, which is Friday and Saturday at 8 o'clock, Sunday at 2 o'clock at the New American Theater. Excellent little small theater. 1312 North Wilton Place up in Hollywood, California. The 8 plays is Celebrating Biddy Mason by Earlene Anthony. Tea with Mrs. Garvey, one of my short plays about the 2 wives of Marcus Garvey, which will be directed by Bill White. Kiara and Wendell by Willis Boyd and Shantae Duncan, about a Vietnam veteran. You find that one very interesting. Insurrectos by George Corbin, which I'm hoping Jonaton repeat his role in the excellent play about revolutionaries during the Filipino wars and insurrection. Tricks by excellent young playwright Isis Pickens. And then D. Lord by Al Cohard, and that's about the great actor Harrison and the great poet Paul Laurence Dunbar. And then Harlem Haven is a play, excellent play by Eddie Goins. And then Gale and Laughter by Felix Rasicilius, who had a play in the festival last year. So those are the 8 plays. For information, ticket information, you can call 213-908-5032 to find out more about it. Let's go around for some closing comments. We still got a couple minutes. Let's start off with Darcel and then Jones.
Well, I just want to thank all the fans. And, actually, you're like family to me now that, my assistant was like, I can't talk to all these people anymore. I was like, that's okay. I'll talk to them. But I would just like to say thank you so much for your support and love through the years. And hopefully we'll keep moving. We'll keep doing. And thank you so much, Melvin, for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to share my gift.
Okay, Jonathan.
Well, let me just say, I just want to say thank you to the whole world, the universe, to all the beautiful people out there. It's beautiful that we can all, there's so many things that happen in our lives personally. As you can see, Darcel's story, the kid's dad calls in to support their children call in to support. They speak to me warmly. I know it's from their heart, and I've met them, and it's just wonderful that we can all come together in love and in peace and in harmony and really support each other. And we can do that with everything, everybody. Come together and support each other. So thank you so much, Melvin.
And when you get ready to do the movie, I'm available to write the screenplay for you.
Oh, okay.
To work way down on the line.
Yes, well, you never know.
Because I see a movie there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. A special thanks to Darcel and the actor Jonaton Wyne. Please listen to past shows of the Qumran Reports by Googling in Qumran Report. Thank you for tuning in to the Qumran Report, and from your host, Melvin Ishmael Johnson, may the peace and blessings of the life-giving creative spirit be upon you and upon your family. I leave you with Ron Allen singing Bobby Sing.
Voice is really greater in the mix of time and the chicken body flavor. A poem could be safer, but the mix is really greater in